Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube? I'm going to start off with gold and silver today. Silver and gold are looking good, basing that little bottom and possibly working its way to changing trend on a weekly chart. These are both weekly charts. Changing this back to gold on a daily, you can see how it is forming that platform very nicely. And going back to the weekly, you can see that same pattern here as it bounces off support. Coming up, gonna make a clean break here shortly. Getting above 1120 on gold, possibly consolidating this time above our trend and hopefully changing a trend this time. It's our ultimate goal, as all these attempts have failed throughout. So very happy. I think that we'll get a pop out of it. Gold and silver. Here is silver, just like we talked about, how price stays in these little patterns and then gets tighter and tighter and tighter until it has to pop the cork. And you can see how price just keeps on back and forth, and now we're on this little end of the line uptrend. On a weekly chart, we are so far this week, we have closed above our 13-day. So what that tells me is we are breaking into previous lows. As we're still in the pattern, that tells me that when it breaks out of the pattern, it's going to have a little gusto and be able to move higher, maybe even change this or move into these lower or into these previous lows, or even pop above this line here of resistance. I definitely think that we can get above 15 on silver and consolidate this pattern. I like it a lot. Not to say that if the rest of the markets, on both gold and silver, if the rest of the markets fail, it's quite probable that the rest of the markets will take down the gold and silver as well, being that they are paper traded contracts, not actual physical. If it was the other way around, obviously gold and silver would be a lot higher anyways. So just watch for that. Even though on gold and silver, I really love these bottom patterns, and I think that we're going to get a pop out of them this week. Just watch the rest of the markets. I mean, this thing can have the best pattern ever and break out, and then the markets tank, and then it just, you know, just like on these prices here, it just the rest of the market will take it down with it. So keep an eye out on that. S&P did a retracement last week. Kind of hard to see here. Let me change this to, it is on a weekly. Okay. Well, last week we broke down, right? And then the price retraced all the way back to its previous lows. And now it's breaking down, definitely below its previous, but now working on these previous lows, and obviously this one right here in and around 1800 is our final, you know, breaking previous lows. In and around 1800 is an emotional spot, obviously. So it broke into previous lows, and now it's retracing back. So what I'm saying is we got our bearish retracement, allowing for price to continue lower. Now, I don't know if that's going to really happen. I know that they would love another round and drag this thing out for another 6 months, making another lower high in and around here, maybe around 2000, 2050. So, it makes that same previous or a lower high, but just don't know, because crude oil also did a retrace, and it did its bearish retracement so that price can make itself lower. And on oil, you can see how steep that line is. It's definitely in no man's land. Previous lows have been broken, but I imagine it's going to keep on this trend line. Can't be positive, but I don't think it has enough weakness to go through this on a vertical. It'll if this thing's going to go any lower, it's going to follow this line of action here. But we'll see. It looks like it put in its retracement so prices can move lower, but this could be just the start of a consolidation to move higher. And this could be the bottom. You never know. US dollar, it's itching and scratching towards its highs. And the ECB has requested to central banks to infuse more liquidity because things are really tight, and I guess the euro to the dollar ratio is very bad, and they want to make sure that things don't collapse in Europe. So the ECB is thinking about printing money. I don't know. I just think if this thing gets hyperinflated, it's going to go through the roof. And it sure is acting that way because it hasn't had any downturns correlated to how bad the S&P is falling apart and the Dow is falling apart. The dollar seems to be its own little animal, and it's following a trajectory to keep going and make its final pop at 1,050 or 150. So we'll see where it goes, but logic would say that it should be dropping in correlation to other currencies, but this thing keeps trucking along. We had a down day today, but it's probable that this is just the low of the week. So we'll see how the week ends up. Again, I think this is a bearish flag, and it is going to fall apart, but it just hasn't happened yet. And certainly no downfalls compared to the S&P and Dow and crude oil. So it's just it escapes me on its logical course here, but so does gold and silver. It should be a lot higher. So for the week, gold and silver, I imagine a pop. S&P's either going to consolidate or furiously break previous lows. And that 1800 is our final last draw before it becomes a treacherous dropping machine. Look out. I mean, it's going to drop. Here's previous lows. It'll do bump and runs all the way down on these previous lows. Probably end up down and around 13, 14 before it slows down, but definitely reach 1600 on the S&P if it falls apart. It is on its last tether, but that 1800 is its last draw. Last lines of support at 1800. Dollar could hyperinflate at any second, and that's the way it's acting. It's not acting like it's going to be bearish anytime soon, unless something drastic happens. Oil, again, watch for lower prices. I mean, it's in no man's land, and there's no support except for the previous week right now. So 1 week of support is not going to hold this thing up. That's all I got today. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment. And let me know what's going on out there. Thank you.